Hello students, today we're doing lesson 10.2, finding the percent. And in this lesson in your book, they teach you two different ways to find the percent. They teach you with the proportion and with equations. I'm going to skip the proportion part. I'm going to only show you how to do it with an equation. If you know one way, then you can do it this way all the time. And the reason I'm doing that is because we focus a lot on solving and writing equations in pre-algebra. So I'm just going to show you that way during this chapter. But just remember, there are multiple ways to solve a problem in equations. And for this one, you can solve it with a proportion, but I'm not going to show you that way. Okay, so let's go right into examples. For example 1, it says, what percent, and remember you should be taking notes, what percent of 20 is 17? So right away with this sentence, you can see a couple things that we've talked about in class. I'm going to change the color of my pen here for a minute. Okay, the first thing I see is. What does is mean when we're talking math? It means equals. So this is going to equal 17. So you already have part of your equation. So over here we have what percent. That means I don't know this. So that's my P, right? Or X or N, whatever you want to call it. This one's going to just say 20. And of most of the time means times. So now I have P times 20 equals 17. But we don't write P times 20. In algebra, we write 20P equals 17. So now I'm going to divide by 20. This is just a one-step equation. You're going to use your calculator, and this means divide, right? So I'm going to do 17 divided by 20. And when you do that in your calculator, you get 0.85. But this was asking for percent, so I want to change this to a percent. And we've already learned how to do that. You move your decimal place 2 places to the right. So this is 85%. So what this problem was, what we solved was we said 85% of 20 is 17. Okay, that's what we solved in this part. They asked us to find the percent, so that's what we found. Okay, so what I'm trying to teach you in this lesson, or what you're trying to learn, is how to write this equation. Okay, once you've written the equation, you know how to solve equations. That's what we've done all year in this class. So that shouldn't be hard once you write the equation, but you need to learn how to write the equation. Okay, so let's move on to example 2. Example 3, you're going to do on your own. So we're going to do two together, and then you're going to do one on your own. Okay, on example 2, it says, what percent of 12 is 8? Okay, so once again, we're going to just walk right through this with where we're going to just write an equation. Here's the is 8. That means equals 8, right? That 12 is going to stay there. We said of meant times. And what percent? When it's asking you a question, that means I don't know. I don't know the percent. So that means I'm going to use P. And now I'm going to write the P times 12 the right way. So 12P equals 8. And now we know how to solve this equation. We're going to divide by 12. When you put this into your calculator, you write 8 divided by 12. The first number always comes first. So when I do 8 divided by 12 in my calculator, I get 0.6666, and it just keeps going. Your calculator might stop and put a 7. We want this in percent, so we're going to move our decimal point 2 places. And depending on what they're exactly asking for, you could round to the tenths or the hundredths, or you could put it with a fraction. So this would be 66.67%, or you could write 66.7%. Or if you know the fraction for 0.66666, it's 2/3, so you could write 66 2/3%. So any of these I would accept as an answer. So the book is going to give you the last one as an answer because that's the most precise. but you do not need to do that for me. For my class, you can just leave it as 66.7 or 66.67. Okay, and that is percent. So that is my answer. Either any of these are my answer to example 2. Okay, now on to example 3. And actually we're gonna do 4. We're gonna do 3 together. And then I'm going to do a last one on your own. Because example 3 is a little bit different and I don't want you to get confused because I did not show you one like this. Okay, so example 3. Okay, example 3. Example 3 is 12 is what percent of 150? So this is worded a little bit different than the other ones. The other ones started with what percent of something is something. But this one is 12 is what percent of 150. So if you know how to write an equation, you're just following the words. That's all you're doing. So when I look at this, I look for the word is because I know that's going to be my equal sign. Okay, in front of the is just 12, so that's going to stay there. And then I have what percent, that means P, right? Oh, I'm going to write it down here. Of means times, and then I have 150. So I'm going to change this P times 150 into 150P, right? And now I'm going to solve. So sometimes you get your variable on the right-hand side, and some students are uncomfortable solving the problem like that, or they make mistakes when the problem's like that. So if you want to, you can just switch it around and put the 150P first, and then the equal sign, and then 12. Okay, so either way you do it, you're going to divide by the number that's next to the P. Because you want P by itself. You want that variable by itself. So I'm going to divide by 150 on both sides. And I get P equals. Now I'm going to do 12 divided by 150. And in your calculator, it will give you 0.08 or 0.08. I want it to be a percent, so I'm going to move the decimal point 2 places. So my answer is 8%. Okay, so now what I want you to do on the next one, you're going to do it on your own. I want you to write an equation like this, just like I did following the equation. And then you should be able to change it into something that looks more like this or this. And then solve it. So I'm going to write the problem down, and you are going to write it down and then hit pause. So this is on your own, or example 4. And we're going to do what percent of 40 is 24? Okay, so write that down and then hit pause and then work it on your own. I want an equation and the answer. You can use your calculator, and then when you come back, we're going to check and see if you got right. So go ahead and hit pause now. Okay, you should be back now. So here's the answer to our problem. Well, I'm going to work it with you. So we have what, well, actually, if I start this out the way I've been telling you, is find the is, say equals 24. What percent means that's my P. Of is X, and 40 goes here. So that is 40P equals 24. And now I'm going to divide by 40. And I get P equals 0.6 is what your calculator probably told you. Okay, this is the decimal, but I want to know percent. So I'm going to move the decimal point 2 places. If you move it 2 places and there's a blank here, then you need to fill that in with a 0. So my answer is 60%. So hopefully you got that answer also. If you did not and you're still not understanding, go back through and watch this video again. That's it for lesson 10.2.